Look, you've probably been searching for the top 7 diet hacks for 2025. But let's be real, bro. Your diet plan is starting to look like a pile of unfinished video games.
Oh, should I try this one? Nah, maybe that one. That one's easier but won't work as fast.
Sound familiar? Bro, I've been there. When I started, I was drowning in diet misinformation. And trust me, it's only gotten worse since then. My name's Nick and I lost over 70 pounds and I help other young men just like you break through that lose, gain, repeat cycle that most people who come into the new year's always fall into. And the good news is, in this video, I'm gonna give you a simple, easy to follow framework that I used to stop the cycle and build the kind of physique that I could only dream about 4 years ago. Let's begin. Now, first we gotta understand that when people start a diet, they typically incur some type of restriction. Now, you're not special. In fact, this is what is required in order to get lean and aesthetic. However, this video is going to help you pick the form of restriction that feels least limiting to you personally so you can set it up for you to hit your goals. Now, there's 3 main methods of restriction that we can use in order to achieve diet success. And they are time-restricted eating, also known as intermittent fasting, food group or macronutrient restriction, and examples of this would be keto or carnivore, or 3 is calorie counting and tracking restriction. I'm gonna go through each one and you can pick the one that resonates with you the most, and I'll go through the one that personally worked for me the best. So time-restricted feeding and intermittent fasting is a way to set up your day where you only eat in a specific time frame. This could be a 4-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour time frame, and during the rest of the day you fast, which basically means you don't eat anything. Calm down, of course you can drink fucking water. Now, most people go for a 8/16 window, and in this they pick a time frame that's 8 hours, so let's say 12 noon to 8 p.m. at night. Now, for the rest of the day, before and after, they do not eat anything. Now, the upside of this method of eating is that it can help you feel fuller from eating bigger meals in a smaller time frame. But the downside is that you can't eat whenever you want. Some people find it as a great way to manage their hunger, but others also find a way to just binge during their feeding window and not see any progress. And it's up to you with experimentation as to what can work with your personality trait and your tolerance for staying hungry. Now, some people try a different way of fasting, which is a bit more extreme, called OMAD. Now, this is 1 meal a day. Now, this strategy could also be known as a 1/23 time window or a 2/22, but basically it means that you eat a crap ton in 1 meal, typically only lasting 1 to 2 hours. However, if it does sound intriguing to you, I would recommend starting with the larger time window and moving your way to a smaller time window over time. So that could mean starting with a 12/12 time window, and then it could be a 14/10 window. Fast for 14 hours, eat for 10 hours, and then it could be a 16/8, 20/4, and then eventually work up to the 1 meal a day strategy of eating. But like I said, it might not work for everyone. The second type of restriction is food group or macronutrient restriction. Now, this has been heavily popularized recently. Now, food group restriction could be as simple as removing red meat from a diet and doing essentially a vegetarian approach. Or on the more extreme side, you could go for a elimination type diet, which is where you restrict all food groups except for 1 or maybe 2. Now, carnivore has gotten very popular doing this, where you basically only eat nothing but red meat and maybe eggs. Now, on keto, you almost completely eliminate carbohydrates from your diet. Now, carbohydrates are one of 3 main macronutrients that you get from food. There's protein, carbs, and fats. And eliminating an entire macronutrient of food allows you to not eat as much and be more limited with your options, meaning that you eat less and you lose weight. Now, the upsides of a diet like keto are that people lose a lot of weight initially because water tends to bind with carbohydrate. So when you eliminate almost all carbohydrates from your diet, it has a flushing effect, allowing people to lose tons of water weight in the first 3 days to 1 week of dieting. It also allows you to eat more fatty foods, which most would say are more tasty than non-fatty foods. Now, the downsides of a macronutrient restriction diet like keto is that there's an adaptation period for a lot of people. When they eliminate carbs, they feel slow, lethargic, tired, and some may experience headaches from losing all the sugar, which is what I experienced definitely. I got a huge headache after a couple days of trying keto. The next downside is that performance in the gym, if that's something that you care about, does take a little bit of a hit, and it may not be at its best. You can definitely build a good physique on a keto diet. I'm not saying that you can't, but but I'm definitely saying that you won't be able to squeeze out every percentage of energy to max out every rep with a keto approach. But if you're just looking for general fitness and not to be the most muscular, then it wouldn't matter too much. And the last, and I think the biggest downside of these food elimination diets like veganism, it allows a lot of deficiencies to occur. So basically minerals and micronutrients that are acquired from the red meat, if you're a vegan, would be harder to get. For someone on carnivore, they would not be getting any fiber in their diet at all, which has been linked time and time again with improved mortality in pretty much every meta-analysis and study in the fucking planet. If you pick one or two food groups, then you're missing out on the deficiencies and the minerals and the micronutrients that you could be getting from including the whole variety of all food groups. And I'm not saying that it is a bad diet for weight loss, and it could actually be the best diet for weight loss for you. However, if you are going to try a food group restriction method of dieting, then I'd recommend keeping as many food groups as you can and only eliminating the ones that you find don't tolerate the best with your body. And after you've done the simple step of removing any intolerant foods that you don't really like, then you can focus on a food group or a particular type of food that you enjoy eating and you get satiety and feel full from. And you can base your diet around that from then on, as long as it's a quality source of protein and allows you to feel full. Now, the last form of restriction, of which feels the least restrictive to me and maybe for you, is calorie counting or tracking restriction. Now, this is where the user tracks what they're eating, typically these days through an app like MyFitnessPal, MacroFactor, or Chronometer, or any of the ones that you find online. They all work and ensure that they hit a target calorie goal with a specified amount of protein, fats, and carbs each day. Now, this allows the user to eat whenever he wants with no time restriction, and also with whatever foods he likes, as long as they fit within the daily budget of the calories and macronutrients that he has to hit. This method of dieting, I found, has the most upsides with the least amount of downsides. Upsides such as you can eat whatever food groups you like and not have to restrict to one or two food groups. I believe that is more beginner friendly for people starting their fitness and diet journey without needing Goggins level discipline. They don't have to be on a strict meal plan exactly, and they can include foods of which they were eating before, but to a moderate degree, and they learn more about portion sizing as well as learning the composition of foods in general. And the downsides are, well, simply one downside is that tracking foods on a scale may not be for everyone. But I find if you can commit for at least 2 to 3 weeks where tracking becomes a habit, it becomes no more of an inconvenience than anything else. And it certainly fits into my lifestyle now, having tracked most of what I've eaten for years now and having it be no extra weight on me. See what I did there? Haha, no extra weight. And it basically suited right into my lifestyle, and it could do the same thing for you. So these 3 restriction methods all boil down to basically when you eat, what you eat, and how much of it you eat. But the one thing they all have in common is that they follow the law of energy balance. Now, what I'm about to tell you is something I wish I knew when I started my fitness journey, because it would have saved me years of not knowing where to go and having to experience so many plateaus and feel like a skinny fat loser who just couldn't get lean. Now, this is how weight loss works. All foods are made up of energy, and this is what we call calories, kilojoules, whichever way you want to measure it. But most people measure it in calories. And our body has to use energy to basically live and survive. Our body uses energy to run its organs, all the systems, and to make sure that we stay alive. Our brains burn calories, our muscles burn calories, fat even burns calories. You tapping your foot on the floor whilst you're watching this video is burning calories. Everything burns calories. So for what we consume, that is the energy we eat. Now, to intake energy, we have to consume food. To burn energy, we have to expend energy. Now, if the calories, the food that we eat is more than the calories that we burn, ta-da, we gain weight. I don't care what fucking insulin, autophagy, scientific guru tells you some bullcrap. And the same works in reverse. If we burn more calories than the energy that we consume, then we will lose weight. And that is what we all call a calorie deficit. You've probably heard this term before, but if you haven't, just know that every diet that has ever worked, by the way, any diet can work, all induces a calorie deficit to lose weight. You can try any diet under the sun, and if you're not in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. So now you might have the framework that will work for you in mind. One of the 3 restriction methods that I said earlier might have resonated with you, and you can start trying them out and seeing which one you like the most. Now, whilst you do that, low carb, calorie tracking, intermittent fasting, you want to apply some of these guidelines I'm about to tell you to any one of those 3 types of dieting that we went through. With these guidelines, you'll be able to maintain a lean physique year round like I have been able to. Now, the first guideline is to look for protein in every meal and base every meal around that. I don't care if you're vegan or whatever. Every diet should keep protein high. It maintains muscle mass, helps you keep fuller, as well as support the growth and maintenance of things like your hair, your organs, and other super important parts of your body. And a rule to follow for intake of protein each day, I would recommend between 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But if you're starting at a morbidly obese point where your goal is to go from 220 pounds to 170 pounds, let's say, then make 170 your goal weight as the amount of protein that you should consume. You want to be 170 pounds, that's 170 grams. Number 2, maintain a healthy fat intake. Again, no matter what you're doing, time restricted eating, vegan, calorie counting, you want to make sure that you're getting at least 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight. This will be good to maintain healthy hormone production and just make sure that your energy and your vitality is still that of a fucking man. So many people who go into diets lose so much of their testosterone levels, and that's not what you want to be. You haven't gotten into a diet to become a soy boy. You've done it because you want to be a fucking G. So make sure you're getting these healthy fats from polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, healthy fats such as avocados, nuts, oils, nut butters, and eggs, salmon. And number 3, try to make your goal rate of weight loss between 1 to 2 pounds per week. If you can maintain this level of weight loss for 12 weeks straight, that's like 16 to 24 pounds of fat out of the way. And if you're trying to lose 50 pounds, you're already over one third of the way there. Now, after 12 weeks, you may have built up some diet fatigue. So after that point, you want to make sure that you move to maintenance. And you're probably like, what do you mean maintenance? Okay, so when you were trying to lose 1 to 2 pounds of body weight per week, you should be within a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit per day. That'll get you losing at least 1 to 2 pounds per week. Now, when you move to maintenance, it's basically your new maintenance calories, or what you're eating, but a little bit more, just to maintain your body weight for at least 2 months, maybe 3 months, to get used to your new body fat set point. Now, this is your body fat set point that you'll be aiming to reduce over time. And it doesn't take one go after never trying before to see your dream physique. It takes time. It takes repeated efforts. So after you've maintained your weight for two months, maybe 3 months, that is when, if you're up to it, you can go into another 8 to 12 week cut. So rinse and repeat. Get into a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit. You can even push it a little bit more if you want, and you can try and lose quite a bit of fat for another 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, and repeat the cycle. Now, if you don't know when to stop your diet, if hunger has really gotten out of control and you haven't been able to fix it with eating, more fibrous vegetables, fruits, eating at certain times where you'll feel more full, or saving meals to eat more at certain times, or changing your frequency. And if your sleep has been suffering and you've just been really feeling tired all day and it doesn't feel like the food is really giving you much energy, then you're really in a fatigued state. And this is when I'd recommend you take a diet break. So there you have it. Now you know how to structure your fat loss for your 2025 fat loss goals, how long to diet for, how much you should be losing, when to back off, and when to repeat the cycle. Just to remember, this isn't a lose, gain, repeat cycle. This is a lose, maintain, repeat cycle. This will put you ahead of everyone else who has been trying to diet but failed. And with your own way of dieting, whether it be time restricted feeding or flexible dieting through calorie tracking, or carnivore even, you'll know that you'll be making the best diet decisions for you, and trust the process. Because it's trusting the process and doing it consistently over a longer period of time that gets you where you want to be. Consistency and adherence is the #1 factor in you reaching your goals for 2025. And I wish you the best, and I hope that the value that you found in this video is able to help you get to that point. Now, again, if you really did find value, then I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and comment with any insights you have. Plus, if you need help losing fat, getting aesthetic, or boosting your overall confidence through self-improvement, then be sure to subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Leave no more lost potential.